It raised productivity of three key.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I got to tell you guys, I'm looking at the news, and there's so much happening. But one of the things that is absolutely stunning to me is, did you know that climate change is no longer an existential threat that's going to destroy our universe? This is according to Bill Gates, the one and only eugenics king, Bill Gates. Man boobs himself. He says that, climate change, well, we've got other things that we got to focus on. Now, we've been listening for, 25, 30 years to these guys telling us we had the ozone hole. We had global cooling before that. We had the ozone hole. We had global warming. We had climate change, back to global warming, back to climate change. The world is ending. That's the reason for all of these storms. I mean, over and over again, we've heard a nonstop drumbeat that the world is ending due to climate change for years and years and years. Now, all of a sudden, Bill Gates wants to focus more on vaccines than climate change. Really? I mean, I don't even know what to say about this, folks. So we got Bill Gates, doing climate change. We got Chuck Schumer keeping our government shut down. Chuck Schumer doesn't want SNAP benefits. He doesn't want his people to get their food stamps. Who'd have ever thought, right? We have absolute insanity. The world is on its ear today, folks. It's just on its ear. I don't even know what's going on. I know that there's just a lot of insanity, and I'm kind of eager to get into it with y'all. Just eager to see what's going on, and lots to talk about. Before I do, of course, We need your help and support as always. GiveSendGo.com/RensLaw. GiveSendGo.com/RensLaw. Please become a monthly donor, supporter, whatever you can do. We need as much help as we can get. We're fighting the fight on a lot of levels, and your support is critical. So please, GiveSendGo.com/RensLaw. Also, please go to TomRens.com, www.TomRens.com, and support us there. Check out our shop. Go to sponsors and our partners and affiliates, and support our sponsors, support our affiliates. Particularly today, of course, we got Global Healing. Don't forget men's hormone support. The war on testosterone is real, folks. We got to fight back. Men's hormone support from Global Healing. You can get there through TomRens.com. But men's hormone support, a wonderful product. Help us fight the war against testosterone. We need men back in this country. We need real men. Also, today I want to highlight Block Trust IRA. Our partners at Block Trust, wonderful people. We love Block Trust. TomRens.crypto.com. Listen, these are some of the best. This is the best crypto company out there. They can put it in your IRA. It's tax deferred, just like any other IRA. And listen, Trump is backing crypto. Crypto's coming. It doesn't matter whether you like it or not. Doesn't matter. Here's the thing: you can either make money off of it now, or you can lose out in the future. That's the only two options, because it's not going away. And you can say, I don't want to participate, but trust me, you're not going to have an option. You might as well make some money off of it. And if you're going to make some money, use the best in the business. Block Trust IRA, I love these guys. Crypto's here to stay. Make some money off of it. Protect your family, protect your wealth. All right. Without further ado, there's so much I want to get into, but you know what? Before I do, I want to play a video for y'all, because I found this video. I got a boot out of this thing. Talking about this is for Gen Xers, right? So I'm a Gen Xer, and I got a boot out of this. It's talking about old school struggles. Some of the difficulties that we as Gen Xers faced as young people. These were scenes directly from my childhood, and I just got a boot out of this, guy. So here, I'm gonna play this for y'all. Ben, can we put this up on the screen? Here we go. All right, here it is. Oh, the quick can. Oh, the quick can. Oh, the cassette players. You guys remember the cassette players? Everybody, the cassettes you ever wind. Oh my God, I hated the rotary phones. I hated rotary phones.
The number you have dialed is not in service.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, the TV. Gotta get the antenna. Gotta get the signal. And maps. There was no GPS. Never had the right batteries. 9-volt batteries is the bane of my existence. Digital watches, Star Wars, there's some good stuff right there, but then you had to spend an hour setting your clock. Oh my God, the worst ever was when the tape broke. It was so bad. Yeah, those were fun, but that happened every time. Okay. I just got a boot out of that. A little nostalgia for y'all folks. It made me happy, and just kind of reminded me. My grandpa had rotary phones everywhere. I got to tell you, I hated those damn things. Every time I wanted to, if I was grandpa, say, hey, go call your mom. Okay. Click, click, click. The worst thing ever. And then inevitably I would hit the wrong number. I overspin it or underspin it, or so I'd have to start over again. They were awful. But I wasn't getting cell phone radiation poisoning from them, so I guess it's it could be worse. At least there was no cellular poisoning from those. So, all right. So we're going to get into the Schumer shutdown, and we're going to get into Bill Gates's climate change stuff. But we're going to start out because we're going to get some updates from my good friend, Melissa Redpill. Melissa's going to be joining us. We're going to be finding out a little bit about what's going on from the biblical Trump perspective. which I don't think there's a better spokesperson in the world than Melissa. So let's see what Melissa has to say today. And Ben, if you can put her up on the screen, I'd be happy to say hi to her and hear what's going on. How you doing today, Melissa?
Hey, how are you? I'm so glad to see you, my friend. It's been too long. I'm glad to, especially this week. This is such a big week, and I think that we're seeing, with the eyes to see it, we're seeing a lot of great things happening. So, you want me to give you the Trump shout out, like you said?
Give me the rundown. What's happening in the forgive me for lack of better, the Trump utopia world?
Right. So, okay, this is one of the big things that I think that that is happening that I don't think that a lot of people are necessarily seeing. The way that President Trump is taking down the globalists, because all for all of our lives forever, really, they have the globalists, imperialists, crown, whatever you want to call them, elite. They have controlled the rare earth minerals basically by just absconding them from each of the nations and taking them and doing their own process and then selling them back to us at a premium. So now President Trump is cutting out the middleman. He posted that long ago about cutting out the middleman, and now he's doing it.
I didn't see this. What's he doing?
Well, okay, so all these deals that he's cutting with Australia, Cambodia, Thailand. He just posted this morning he's bringing back trillions of dollars of deals. All these are, and now he's going to be meeting with China, and a big part of that is the rare earth minerals. Well, he's already laid the groundwork that he's already getting a lot of rare earth minerals from other people. So there's competition out there, number one. And number two is that they're going to be doing their own processing. That's what they've never done before. And so this is where the wealth goes back to the people instead of the elite taking all of the resources and using them, and not for the good of the people. This is turning it all around. And so every nation will have their own sovereignty over their resources. Go ahead.
So they're expanding the processing and, because that's a huge, one of the things that a lot of people don't know, and it's actually a big deal in the food stuff too, is one of everything that we use is processed, it's manufactured. Someone's got to take the raw, natural, whatever it is, and turn it into a usable product. And one of the things that the globalists do use profoundly all across the board is they control that processing and they monopolize it and they manage it. And then it doesn't really matter, even where you have control over the natural resource, you still have to go through the processing and distribution, and it's the globalists that control that supply chain. So, I didn't see this. That would be a huge deal if he's going to break up some of that. Right.
And I know they're crying, and the globalists, the elite, are crying because he's going around them, and each nation. This is the biblical stance is that they're going to be nations in, if you want to call it the golden age or the millennial kingdom, whatever you want to call it, they're going to be nations, but they'll be sovereign nations because each nation has not been sovereign. We've been treated like a child. And so, I know everybody here knows this verse, from 1 Corinthians. It says, when I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. And so we've been led around by the nose, like a child by these elite forever, and that is ending. Each nation is being treated as if they are their own sovereign country. I really do think that's if we could see what's going on with the globalists, I bet they are really very unhappy with what President Trump is doing right now on that one standpoint alone.
Well, that would be a huge move. Like I said, I haven't seen much about it, but that's the kind of thing. You do the research. So I'm fine with that. But it's an interesting thing because like I said, the control is exerted through this, and I do agree with you, right? So treating nations as sovereign entities rather than part of a global cabal is really a big deal, and we've seen, unfortunately, there's a lot of good ideas that have good intentions that don't work. And the UN's a great example of that, right? So, the idea of a United Nations, a place that we can come together to avoid or prevent war, that sounds great. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked at
Well,
all.
it didn't work because the ones who were in the driver's seat didn't want it to work.
Right.
And,
Right.
and
Well,
really,
that's
in my
it.
opinion, the same thing with Gaza. All these years that, we're going to have this peace in Gaza, but the money never materialized.
Well,
And so that's why he's going around them on that standpoint too, because he's going straight to Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan. They're all ponying up the dollars to rebuild Gaza. And in my strong opinion, it is not about trying to make money. They are just trying to stop, the encroachment. And so anyway, I really do believe that that's what's going on. And they again are not able to control it because the money is coming directly from this Saudi Arabia or whoever, and straight to the people, and to build up to repair what the rubble. So that's what I really believe is going on. They're not happy that we're going around them in every way. We have to just say you don't get to play anymore because we don't believe you anymore, UN.
yeah. Well, one of the things I think that's really interesting that you're bringing up, and I guess I've never really talked about it in this way, or I suppose, but is, Trump has made a lot of Middle East deals, right? And I'm not talking about Israel, and I'm not talking about the whole Israeli thing. I'm talking about he's made deals with Qatar, deals with Saudi, deals with all these different guys. And I can't say that I've looked into the specifics of all these deals, but, it's kind of interesting because you're right. There's a lot of funding for the terrorists that live in Gaza, right? I mean, so Gaza is an interesting thing to me because I think the nation of Israel, I support the nation of Israel. I support the Jewish people, but I don't support the corruption coming out of Israel. And there is corruption in Israel, just like every other country in the world. And it's an interesting thing because it's justified by the fact that there are actually terrorists in Gaza. I mean, I don't support a genocide, but I also don't think it's okay to have terrorists who build their bases in a hospital. I think it's obscene and abhorrent. So I don't think there's really a good guy to be had in any of this. I think you've got, various just basically two bad guys in most of this.
Right. Well, and the question is it really two bad guys, or is it really one bad guy in a proxy war where they are pretending to be two? And so that's, we've already gotten the evidence that Netanyahu was paying Hamas.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? So it's really interesting. Everybody go look at the Economist magazine from 2012. Have I ever shown you that, Tom? The Economist
no,
magazine.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, okay. So I need to send text it to you. You guys just go and pull it up. Maybe your helper can look it up. The 2012 Economist magazine cover. They always put these very strange covers on their magazines that are like almost futuristic. And on that one in 2012, they had two paragliders shooting at each other. How random is that?
That's pretty weird.
Yeah, and they're shooting at each other. One of them, look it up. One of them has the face of Netanyahu, and one of them has a Hamas headband.
Huh.
And in the middle, it's the shooting is going like they're equivalent. And this is back from 2012.
Yeah, I see Ben's looking for it right now. He'll get her.
It's out there. It's out there. It's a wild scene, man. It's a wild cover. But that right there tells me pretty much everything I need to know.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is, right there. So if you scroll, right there. That's if you scroll it and zoom in, you'll notice that's no doubt Netanyahu's face, and that's a Hamas headband. I know it's kind of small for me; it's hard to kind of see, but yeah. And if you look at the date, I don't think it's on there, but it's 2012. So that tells you this was pre-planned by the powers that be. And in my opinion, it was a land grab. And those, there are people in Palestine who have nothing to do. They don't want to be controlled by Hamas any more than we wanted to be controlled by Biden. Yeah. So, and they've just been in the middle. And actually, J.D. Vance has been talking about that. He's saying that these people are caught in the middle.
Well, that's the tragedy to this whole thing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, it's a weird thing because, for those of us that actually think and don't think that everything has to be all black or all white, we realize that there's a lot of shades in this world. You look at this and it's like, listen, you got Benjamin Netanyahu over there talking about how if you don't want a two-state solution, you have to support Hamas. And then he's sending billions of dollars to Hamas through Qatar. And then you've got this bizarre stand down order that apparently happened when October 7th happened. October 7th was a terrible tragedy.
Right.
I mean, so many people lost their lives. But I mean, the question was, why was the border unsecured? Why did they tell their troops to stand down? And there was even an IDF guy from that testified about that. So I mean, there's all this corruption. And
Right.
but yet, if you talk
and
about
who's
this,
winner? Who was the supposed winner? Was whoever was trying to take this land, as has happened since 1948.
yeah,
But
yeah.
this was the, I don't know if you are the Lord of the Rings fan, but you know how they're just in this evil glee to get that ring, and it's like that Gaza was just like the evil ring that they just had this evil glee over, and so now though, it's like it's over.
Yeah.
We have had 59 or whatever leaders in the Middle East. We all want peace. We're all going to have peace. We're all we've settled this thing, and so we're not going to go back to war. And of course, Netanyahu did a 14-hour attack yesterday, but that stopped again. So I think it's really revealing to the world who's the warmonger and who's not. So and really, I support a lot of the people there also, and a lot of the people want peace. And I don't know if you heard them cheering for President Trump and booing Netanyahu. They are over it, and they don't want any of this to happen on their doorstep. So I think the other thing is it's they're going to be adults. Everyone's going to be, they're treated like the Middle East. They're having the trade negotiations and all of this working this out for Gaza. We're not going to be treated like a child anymore and let you all, run all these things, because it's not worked in the past. And so we will be the adults in the room and we will do it.
Well, the interesting thing about Israel is there are Jewish, there are Christian, there are Muslim. I mean, Israel itself as a nation has a lot of people that are, I mean, it's pretty diverse, and they're capable of living together. Okay. Now then you look at, Gaza, and you've got this mess where you've got these terrorists that are funded. Now the funding, certainly, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to argue that the funding is also coming from terrorist supporters throughout the Middle East. It's not just Israel, but and certainly there are these radicalized Islamic elements over there that are causing trouble, and there's no question about that. But this whole thing over there is appalling, because it's the Israeli people, be they Jewish, be they Christian, be they Muslim, and the people. The innocents in Gaza, and there are innocents, they're all suffering because you've got this land grab war that they just keep pushing over, and it's like just a few miles of space. And it's like, really, do we need to be killing each other over a few miles of space? Who really cares? I mean, is it that big of a deal? But it's been made into something.
I've heard and I've seen drawings that lead me to believe that there's something to this, that they're wanting another type of Suez Canal. Instead of everything going through Egypt, it would be a canal right through Gaza. That's why that land is so important.
Well, that would make sense.
And to control that. So that's one piece of it. I've heard a lot of different things, but that piece really makes a lot of sense. But I think it's not just about this, it's about expansionism. And the people are like, well, why would Saudi Arabia and Egypt, why would they spend their money trying to help build this back up? Well, because they knew that they were next.
Yeah.
They've already said they would go annex the West Bank and then take Jordan and then take Egypt and then take Saudi Arabia. I mean, just continue expanding. And so if they can say, we're going to stop this right now and rebuild this, and this will never happen again, then they are safe. It's I think really that's what's behind their willingness to, and also just all of us feel sick at heart. If you've seen what's happened there, it just breaks your heart. The children, 85% is rubble. And the children, I can't even talk about it. It just breaks my heart to talk about it. But I do share about it. I did a whole big thread about it. And if you go on my Melissa Red Pill, you can see this big thread. Just search, Israel and Gaza, and you'll see that. But yeah, I just think that we're getting to the point where we now are saying to the globalists, back up, UN, all of you, we're just going to do it ourselves. So the other piece of the good news, and I don't know how much time we have, but I wanted to shout this out, is that, right now, President Trump is abroad, and the adoration is really over the top. I guess you saw they gave him a crown.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
heard.
yeah. Anyway, it was really a beautiful thing that they were saying was that this was just, they were so appreciative. I think it was South Korea. They were so appreciative that for the first time they have peace. And so everyone is just recognizing that he has been able to accomplish this amazing feat. But while he's gone, we're seeing so many things happening with, Kash Patel, arresting these mob bosses. I do believe that we're experiencing the movie The Untouchables. We're watching that, where The Untouchables, if you remember that movie, Elliot Ness was trying to figure out how in the world do I prosecute this terrible criminal. Well, they did it on tax evasion, but this was on gambling. I think it's much, much bigger than gambling, much bigger. And so the biggest gambling that they've done is how they've done the election fraud.
Yeah.
And so they've been able to control the elections. And this connects. I did another post just the other day. If you go on my Melissa Red Pill, you'll see this one. It was like a huge post where it goes into the connections of how these mob bosses really basically control our government. They control our politicians because they control the elections.
Well, do the mob bosses include George Soros?
Well, and I know President Trump has talked about getting at him because piercing through that, because he's been funding the riots. So I don't know if he's considered one of the mob bosses, but for them to go and arrest all these mob bosses, that is huge. It's really bigger than gambling, really, in my opinion. It's like, Elliot Ness going after Al Capone for the tax evasion. It's not about the tax evasion. It's about stopping these mobsters. And so President Trump put that picture of himself as a mobster. I don't know if you saw that. One of my favorite posts. Oh my gosh, I'm going to send you that too. President Trump out there, and he's like, I'm the biggest gangster of them all. And then this thread connects the dots. Oh, it's awesome. You're going to love it. And so President Trump has it really got the dirt on them way back in the day when he owned the casinos in Atlantic City. And he called in the FBI saying, hey, come and get the goods on these people. I believe he's been lying in wait all this time. And now he's the biggest gangster taking them down. I really do think that that's a big piece. And it looks like I'm just over in Asia. I'm just going and, dancing with the people in Asia. So, yeah, so that's really, in my opinion, very good news. And of course, we got Hegseth blasting these drug boats into hell. So it's really good news. I'm almost ready to publish my new book called The Golden Age. Oh. And yes, and I'm just right at the door. For those of you who don't know, I have written several books. Well, I thought they'd be right there over there. But one of my main books is End Times and 1,000 Years of Peace. And the premise is that it's the end times for these creeps who've been running everything, whether it's the UN or whatever, all the ones we've been talking about, and that 1,000 years of peace is this golden age that President Trump was talking about, as monikered back in 2024 on the Day of Atonement. But so this is the end of it for them, and that's one of my main books. But then now that we're moving in this direction and moving into this golden age that he keeps talking about, what is that from the Bible? What does the golden age really talk about? Because they never wanted to seed our thoughts on beautiful, bright days ahead. They just wanted us to think that everything was going to be inevitable, that it would break down and destroy us. And so it goes into this inevitability of peace and health and wealth and safety, where you can just relax and enjoy your life and not always be, just wondering what's the next shoe to drop. Anyway, so that one is coming up very soon. Just y'all watch on Melissa Red Pill for that coming real soon, because we're here. It's time.
Well, I hope so. I mean, to me, and you and I love our discourse, because I mean, I've got a little more. After my namesake, Doubting Thomas, right? I've got a little bit more of a skeptical view on certain things. And, to me, I see a lot of crime being eradicated. I see a lot of movement. I see a lot of places where Trump himself is active that look really good. But the one thing I don't know is I don't know about the untouchables. I think there's a few that might be untouchable. I mean, there's a couple of people in this administration that I trust completely. But at the same time, I mean, there's a few that aren't. I don't like Pam Bondi. I
I
think
know.
she's done a
I know.
terrible job. I
Yeah.
don't see her doing a damn thing. I think she's interfering with things. And the thing about it is I see this and I'm worried about it, Melissa, because we both want to see Trump succeed. But at the end of the day, right now, executive orders and treaties can be undone. What can't be undone is a criminal conviction. And
Right.
when I see Bill
Right.
Gates and George Soros and some of these people who are behind, I mean, Anthony Borla, for God's sakes, going to the White House. Now, I hope to God that was a rope-a-dope. But we're seeing some of these things, and they have me really worried. And it's like I feel like he's got some great people around him who are doing great things, but at the
Okay.
same time, I feel like he's also got some real snakes. And it's like I wish that I
Yeah.
could see. And we listen. None of us have the full picture.
Right.
None of us have
Right.
the full picture.
Right.
But I wish I could get some evidence, some hard evidence, that he's aware that Borla belongs in jail, not in the White House. I would love to see something on that.
That's the first. That's news to me. I hadn't heard anything about that. Did you hear the news that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is now being investigated for funneling millions into Chinese PLA fronts, violating IRS rules, funding foreign governments?
I didn't, but that's wonderful.
That's the first I've heard of them being investigated ever.
Yeah,
So,
that's huge.
yeah, right.
Well, did you see?
I just got that information today.
I wonder if that's why. That might explain, because I'm going to be talking in a minute. Did you know Bill Gates came out with an essay just a couple days ago, talking about how this is a quote. He says there's a doomsday view of climate change that goes like this. Quote, in a few decades, cataclysmic climate change will decimate civilization. The evidence is all around us. Just look at the heat waves and the storms caused by rising global temperatures. Nothing matters more than limiting the rise in temperatures. Bill Gates then goes on to actually say that listen, it's serious, but not as big of a deal as I've been saying for the last 20 years. And it's stunning how much he's changed his position. Now, Is that because Trump said, I'm going to investigate you and you might be going to jail, or is it not? And this is the interesting thing that happens between the skeptics like me and the people that are more aligned with the Q movement that believe. And I love my brothers and sisters in Q. I mean, I love you, Melissa, but I'm a little more skeptical because I just don't. I've been burned so much by the government. I don't trust them on anything. But it's interesting because you see all these peculiar things that are happening. It's like, and of course, Q says, no, it's planned. And I say, well, but there's no evidence it's planned. And the counter is, but if there was evidence, then it would reveal the plan. And so, it's a back and forth with no real solution, but it's fun to think about.
Well, for me, it just helped me back in the day when I first started reading the Post, that things that I didn't know even where to look. I had been awake for about a year and really digging, and it was so hard to find any truth. Right. Yeah. And that was where it was like, okay, look here, look, in these specific places. And so then it at least led us in the right direction. And then, it's something that was kind of cool, though. I really do believe something big is happening, though, right now. I really do. With taking down these mob bosses, again, it's much bigger than gambling. I think that right there is a very indicative of that it's go time. And then you've got, we've never seen such a thing where these boats would get blasted and out of the water, and a bounty put on Maduro's head. So that right there is a huge thing, and stopping 8 out of 9 wars. I mean, so I have to try to think of the glass half full, and always remember the things that are happening. That's gigantic to end these wars. And, the honest truth is to reveal, like what you and I are talking about here. I think what we've talked about as far as Gaza and Israel, that's becoming common knowledge. Whereas before it was not even something that was anyone had any clue about. Again, we're now becoming the adult in the room where now we're thinking for ourselves. I think that has to happen first before he can have the ability to really bring this all down around their ears. The other thing that's happening is I believe Russ Vought is doing some amazing things that we may very soon see when, after this shutdown concludes, because it's almost 30 days. And that's huge. What has been going on? It'll be interesting to see, what's been going on during that time and to really set this ship right. And then one of the things it said on the board, it said that it would take 6 years. Something, there was a post. I just posted this. Actually, it's pinned at the top of my Melissa Red Pill X account, where it talked about there would be 6 years, and that was posted for us in 2019. So here we are at 6 years, and President Trump has also said that this, this is the golden age. This is the year. I really do feel like we're seeing them being pulled down. The whole thing being pulled down. The Democrat Party is over, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
They have it's over for them. So, it happens kind of slowly. And I think we're getting to that rapid boil, and it started just slowly. And I think if we look at where we are today and you compare it to where we were, 7 years ago, it's light years. So I think if you look at it that way, then you can see, and I don't understand exactly everything that Pam Bondi is doing and why she's doing it the way she is, but I don't understand why Kash Patel is nailing Tyler Robinson, which I just don't feel like that was him, and a lot of that is very strange to me. And ultimately, I trust Kash Patel. I believe he's, even though I don't maybe understand everything that he's doing, I do trust that he is a good guy, and that some of these things have to be done, like the Pixie Sticks game that we played. Did you play Pixie Sticks when you were a kid?
I didn't, but I understand what you're saying.
Concept, right? One little piece and the one, all in the exact order. So anyway, that's what I think.
I agree with you that and it's peculiar. There's a lot happening, and it does look like there's more. And by the way, I agree with you about Q. I think Q is a critical thing. It's been very important in waking a lot of people up. I know some of the people involved with that. I know a little bit more about that. It's good people. I support what Q's done. I don't agree with it always, but I don't have to, right? I'm not. They're a higher pay grade than I am, so we'll leave it at that. But the thing about the Q thing is that it's done a tremendous job at waking people up, and it has provided a roadmap for people to look into certain things. So I like that. As far as things go, I look at the Charlie Kirk investigation. I look at the Epstein files. I look at some of these things, and I don't know. I don't know. Kash Patel was on the Reawaken tour with us, right? So we had a lot of good people there. These are people who were fighting out, speaking out, standing up for America.
Right.
We were all promoting. So it's kind of hard to believe that he suddenly went bad. I don't think that's the case. But there's questions, right? So why in God's name would you refuse to answer so many things? Why would you allow a gag order on everything and anywhere around such an important case that the public needs to know about? Why would you keep things secret? Why would you claim that this is something that appears to be almost impossible, that it was a single guy shooting a 30-06 that was stopped by bones of steel? It's absurd.
So this is not what I just keep going back to, because that story obviously makes no sense. Yeah. The only thing that makes sense is what you just said, is to awaken the people, because all of our lives we've been told, and a lot of people have bought it, that in the textbooks and the history books, the Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK, and the magic bullet went this way and that way and all that. Yeah. And so it's like, come on. At what point do you go, no, we're not going to do it? And so I think it has to be so blatantly, obviously ridiculous that people go, wait, I'm not buying that. And I think that what happens is, at least this is kind of what happened with me. The first moment you say you call BS on something, you just have to have that first time. There has to be something that causes you to call BS and say, and then after that, then you just call BS on everything. Yeah. And that's really, I think, where a lot of people still have to get to. You and I are just like, come on. But it's, and everyone who's on your show, this feels the same way. But there has to be something that, and I really do think that this whole thing that happened with Charlie and then how they've dealt with the investigation, revealing all those text messages that were clearly doctored and created whole cloth from somebody, CIA or whatever, AI, that is, hopefully awakened a lot of people, but then there's still more, and ultimately if to rip the Band-Aid off and to really be able to go in guns blazing and take care of the things that you and I want to take care of. Okay. Yeah. And a lot more about a lot of these issues than I do legally, because you're the legal man. It has to be where people are awake enough so that they won't revolt. Now, Q talked about that. You have to have it so that people won't, fight against their own self-interest because they're led around by the nose. And there has to be enough people awake. And really, they know everything that you and I are thinking. They know everything that people are texting, messaging, searching online, all that. They know everything. And if we were at this stage yet where it was safe to go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off, they would rip it off.
Well, that's one of my biggest concerns we have right now is that they do know everything.
Right. I do. I know.
I don't like, and I'm really, really concerned about Trump bringing Palantir in. And I don't know. Do you know about Palantir? Are you aware of this one?
Yeah.
These guys are bad guys. They're not good people.
I know.
They were a CIA crew. They're the epitome of deep state. And the thing is even if Trump's going to use that powerful tool for good, what happens when we get a bad guy in the White House that has that much power? What happens when the next guy comes in and he's got the ability? What happens when we get another Joe Biden who's able to look at every text message and everything and weaponize IRS to come after every freedom-loving conservative, debank you, do this, do that, implement social credit score, and they've got everything you need to do that.
Right. Well, the thing is, they've been doing that. It's not anything new. I don't think that's anything terribly that new. I mean, it's
introducing it to the government it's like real ID. It's like real ID. Did you see? I posted and I've got pinned to the top of my tweet list, a thing where I break down. We actually have digital ID in this country already, and when we implemented real ID, we've got it. But when we implemented it through the real ID system, it became something with legal implications, and that's very, very troubling because that legitimacy creates a lot of issues for us. And I'm very concerned about what that's going to do. Right. So we've got Trump. We all like Trump. Great. He's not going to do anything evil with it. But what about the next guy?
I hear you. Right. And so, I hear you. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it. I guess the point is when this comes, I think you're great to get everybody's hair on fire over it and to sound the alarm and to realize that, the bad guys have already had access to all this. I mean, all of our medical records, everything, forget HIPAA laws, forget any of that. They've had access because they don't think of us as sovereign individuals that have any rights. They don't think of us that way. They just, do that, take our data and use it however they please. So that has already been happening. And so now with this maybe quote being legitimized and maybe people realizing, hey, wait a minute, that we don't want this, then we can push back. And then he can say, okay, now we're going to put some strict controls over it. That's the only thing I can think of is why they're doing it that way. It has to come to bubble to the forefront. How do you get this to bubble to the surface? And I think this is the way they are doing it. And same thing with Charlie Kirk. This has revealed botched FBI investigations. I mean, clearly that they just everything that could have gone wrong with this whole thing has gone wrong. And so I think it's really revealed a lot of things to people to wake them up about the FBI, the CIA, the government, the legal system, none of it is working. And so it all has to be completely redone.
Yeah.
I don't know
we need it to start working.
Yes, it needs to be.
It needs to start working sooner, and that's why, again,
I know.
we're what 10 months in now, and I'm still looking at Pam Bondi prosecuting nothing of consequence. I mean, Comey is nice, and Bolton's nice, but I mean, frankly, I've been really unimpressed with the way that those two, from a lawyer's perspective, I'm very unimpressed with those two cases. I think there's so much more that could have been done, so much better that could have been done.
What about the mob bosses?
Now, those I haven't looked at the specifics, but it's interesting because this is something else that makes me suspicious on the other side, right? So when we look at this, like they're doing a great job of just putting the hammer down on certain criminals, right? I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if what they do with these mob bosses is real harsh, and they do a great job on it. The problem is that they're doing it on people who are lower level. And I know those mob bosses are big shots, but they're not George Soros big. They're not Bill Gates big. And the problem that I have, and the real concern I have, is let's say that you arrest every mob boss out there. Well, if Chuck Schumer gets away with what he's doing, if Bill Gates gets away with what he's doing, they'll just pay for new mob bosses because the money, the heads of the snake are still there, and they've still got so many resources and so much control that they're just going to hire new underlings. And I understand, some of these guys are pretty high up the food chain, but they're not George Soros high. They're not Chuck Schumer high. They're not Nancy Pelosi high. And until we start actually putting major people who control the purse strings in jail, I'm very concerned that this, everything that we're seeing is very temporary. As soon as Donald Trump leaves office, where does that leave us?
Right. Well, that thread that I was telling you about that is pinned on my Melissa Red Pill X, it shows the connection between Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom and all these mob bosses. That they're one.
I hope that's where they're going.
They're one and the same. And so that's really what this is. And I really do think that it's, they're above, these mob bosses are above Brennan and Comey. Okay. In the food chain. So, and I really think they're all connected. And so I just think
they might be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you that in a heartbeat, because here's the thing, like the Comey and Bolton things, they're like good headlines, but these guys are like washed up. They're not in positions of authority anymore. And they're leveraging their connections and doing their shady stuff. But I mean, they're not the mob bosses, and like I said, I haven't looked into it, but if you got some people, these kind of criminal enterprises, especially, in positions of authority, these guys are active. They're still doing things. And, if we start undermining that and start breaking that, well, that makes a big difference because, they're still actively doing stuff. And, but again, if they're tied to Pelosi, where's the RICO charge? Why are we leveraging some of these tools to break up the criminal enterprises that are running this country? Why are we allowing more of them? Why are we consolidating power or allowing power to be consolidated? It's like we're doing good things, but at the very top, we're letting bad things keep going. But then again, you know what? I'm gonna jump in this because I want to, and I know we were supposed to do a little bit shorter, but if you don't mind sticking around for a minute, I'd love your reaction on this.
Okay.
So this is Bill Gates' article, right? Three tough truths about climate.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know that that he's being investigated. That's interesting to me. And climate change was the granddaddy of scientific fraud. It started, so I think that fraud in medicine, it started a long time ago, and then we see climate change, which is another fraud. I don't know which one is the original. Fraud in medicine started before fraud in climate change, but they really were used to like practice and build off each other. And before there was COVID, there was this climate change nonsense, right? So Gates is out there, and I'm gonna play this. Actually, I'm gonna play this for you guys. This is Bill Gates. Ben, okay, you got it up there already. Look at you go. So this is Bill Gates. This is him talking about farming in Africa, and he starts out talking about the issues with farming in Africa, and then somewhere in here he starts talking about issues, and then he moves into climate change. So let me play this for a minute.
Challenges of both population growth and climate change that's pushing down the productivity that we have on those farms today.
Talking about African farms.
And so this is quite alarming. And if you go out to 2040, 2050, 2060, it gets substantially worse, because even in the best case, climate's temperature increases are continuing. And so if we just let this continue, we'll be moving away from that green revolution to sort of a brown regression, where you have lots of crops dying because of drought and heat effects. And even in the next decade, that will increase hunger. And if you let it go on, you'd have huge amounts of starvation.
Okay, so he goes on and on with this. This is an older video. This is him talking about the end of the world and climate change and the existential threat, and we have to do everything we can do, and yada yada yada. Right now, right. Enter this. Right, so you get this video where he's talking about climate change is serious, but we've made great progress. We need to keep backing breakthroughs that will help us reach net zero emissions, but we can't cut funding for health and development programs that help people stay resilient in the face of climate change to do it. It's time to put human welfare at the center of our climate strategies, which includes reducing green premium to zero and improving agriculture and health in poor countries. So he goes through here, and the article is lengthy. And he goes through, and he talks about climate change and this and that and the other, but he's going back to this whole we've got to fund other things and do other things, right? Now this is important because now we see, and I can show you on the same Twitter feed, because you got him out here talking about some of these other things, right? And how some of these other things might be a bigger threat than climate change, right? Now, this is interesting, and I have a theory. My theory, now I didn't know about the criminal investigations, so maybe that's part of it. But one of the things that I'm seeing, and this ties into my skeptical, and I'm interested in your opinion on this. So the entire next stage of the healthcare revolution, which is not a positive thing, it's a horrible thing, is they're going to use AI-based medicine to essentially control and to modify our genetics, right? The mRNA stuff, we're already seeing that stuff actually does integrate into your DNA. There's a lot of people who've had long-term permanent modifications to their genetics. It was a dangerous science project, but I don't think it's a science project. I think it was intentional. And, we're seeing the explosions and the cancer and all these different things. Well, now, and just beyond me, but Donald Trump is backing AI solutions for healthcare. Let's do a 48-hour vaccine, created with an AI solution personalized for you. That's insane for cancer. That's insane to me. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. To move into that next stage, the most foundational thing they need is electricity. And I that sounds very, very oversimplified, but it's true. The simple reality is that these AI systems that they need to run the next evolution of humanity, that's where they're going, use massive amounts of power. Right. We're talking on a monumental scale. Right. There's not enough electricity. Right. And what I think is happening is I don't for a second believe Bill Gates is doing this out of any altruistic or any change of heart. What this is to me is Gates is huge in AI and healthcare AI. I think Gates would rather poison us with vaccines than to control us with climate change, because nobody cares or believes in climate change. What this marks to me is a shift where the globalists have realized, listen, this climate change power grab has gone to hell. Nobody cares. Nobody believes it. It's not working. So we're going to go back to the vaccine thing, and we're going to try and, and control people's health through the cure, because Donald Trump has said he doesn't give a damn about climate change, but he is kind of okay with this whole mRNA vaccine thing and this AI thing. So they're kind of shifting, and I think they're trying to take advantage of Trump's, and in fairness, I don't agree with Trump and the way he's pushing the AI, but I also know he doesn't have a choice. AI is the new arms race. If America loses that arms race, we're done.
Right.
So we don't have a choice but to win it. But I don't know if humanity survives it. Meanwhile, though, I don't want AI in my healthcare. I don't want it involved. I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't trust it. And I don't trust Big Pharma making the AI systems that are going to then poison me to turn me into a permanent customer. So that said, Bill Gates loves that. He wants everybody sick, and he's doing it. So I think that this whole push really underlies and belies the fact that Gates realizes that the climate change thing is a lost cause, and he'd rather push his eggs into the vaccine and the big pharma basket because he's got some path forward. I'm curious what you think about that.
Well, they do see that a lot of people, because of the fear, they were willing to take the jab, even though they had no evidence whether it would work or whatever. They just, again, going back to they were being like a child, not thinking for themselves and not looking into any of the research and just, doing as they're told. So a lot of people are still, that's where we are. A lot of people are still in that sheep mentality, just doing what they're told. And so really the climate change hoax does not affect people as much. I mean, yes, it affects them personally, but the thing about the jab is that you can see on their ID whether they've gotten the jab. And then you're able to put that on their credit score and then choose whether they can do this or that or have a job or whatever. Yep. So I think that's where the globalists feel like that is more beneficial to them to accomplishing their goals.
Agreed.
A side note that's very, very interesting, very interesting, is that as soon as, and I'm the girl who loves the blue skies. I literally travel land and sea to find blue skies. It's hard to find. And I've literally years ago, before I even knew anything about chemtrails or any of this stuff that they were spewing on us, which is barium and aluminum, which is bale. Yeah. But when I did it, I went somewhere and I thought, oh, if I go to Orlando, it'll be beautiful skies. No, it was horrible. It was the same gray, murky, yucky skies there. I finally found beautiful skies in Miami. Pretty much whenever you go to Miami, I don't know what the people are doing there, but they're all healthy.
Well, and they passed the law in Florida.
Right. Now, but this was years ago. But you'll always find blue skies in Miami. So I've had blue skies since the 30th, since the shutdown. And that I just thought, well, isn't this odd? Now, I'm the one who's watching the blue skies. I'm always looking for a blue sky. And so I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why do I have a blue sky? Why am I not seeing these chemtrails? And just loving it, saying this is too coincidental. This is happening at the shutdown. And then weeks go by, it was 21 days. And then I did see a chemtrail. I'm like, oh, no. So I think that maybe they said, okay, well, we're not going to be able to fund it, our chemtrails through the government. So we'll go ahead and do it, ourselves, come out of some other piggy bank to spray, because they're spraying all over the world. It's not just in America that they're spraying. Anyway, so there's that. And then, then of course we saw what happened, which clearly was the Hurricane Melissa. I hate that they used my name. They're using my name for evil. That was awful. What I've seen the reports coming out, it's just absolutely awful. 60 miles wide and, clearly manufactured. So they still have the ability to do some of these things. But for some reason, the chemtrails have stopped again. So it'll be interesting. So it may be that they are feeling like they are not going to be able to have the control over that. That's being hampered. I don't know. I just find it very good and very odd, and that we're finally these things are at least stopped for a little while. I just think that as far as the jab, they feel like it worked. I think they feel like it worked and it accomplishes their goals. As far as AI, you're right. We have to, and they are building not only the AI infrastructure, but they're also having to build along with it. If they want to build their AI infrastructure, they have to build the electricity generators. Yep. So there's that. I like for myself, I want to research everything myself, and not that I always agree with whatever I get from AI, but I do want to search it. Now, Grokpedia just opened up.
I saw that.
And so I really want to encourage everybody to go to Grokpedia instead of Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is the globalist, brainwashing tool, whereas Grokpedia is much more freedom based. And so I think we're going to. I really appreciate everything Elon is doing. I think when it's all said and done, he's going to have been a huge part in saving the world. And that whole, back and forth between him and Trump was just to give him a little bit of give him a pass because he was catching so much of the heat, because he was too close to Trump. So that helped him to get a little heat off of him. But anyway, I think as far as the AI, I think that I'm really glad to have that ability to research for myself. I had a little boo-boo on my toe, and I'm like, okay, I search it online and I find out the answer from this, whereas to be honest, the doctors were not able to help me. So I think that I love being able to research on my own, and we're not putting the genie back in the bottle. We're going to have to be able to continue to, search for ourselves and find out for ourselves, and not just be a child and go to a doctor and go, okay, whatever, jab me or whatever you want to do to me. And that day's over, for more people.
But we've got to make sure, and we're on the end of the show, but this has been a fun show, but we do have to recognize though that what comes out of AI is based on what goes into AI. So we have bad people who are making some of these AIs, and then we have bad information that goes into the AIs. So we do have to recognize that AI could be, and this is the thing about AI, is if we're able to control it and if it's able to be done properly for the benefit of humanity, it could be one of the greatest leaps forward in human history. If, however, we make this much of an error, it could be the end of humanity, literally.
Right. Elon says the same thing. He says it's very, very dangerous. And so that's why I think the chat GPT is going by the wayside. I think people are realizing it's very dangerous. The numbers came out yesterday that this huge number of people are talking about suicide on chat GPT, which is outrageous. But I did, on a side note on the AI, I researched, end times and how this is biblical and what's happening, with biblically, the people were talking a lot about how this is biblical, and, they were wrong. Because it's the information in. It's all about the information in. It only spits out what information has been put into it, and it doesn't think. It doesn't think for itself. So I'll take whatever data I get. When we were kids, we had a library card, and whatever libraries they deigned to put into the local library or the school library. Now we have all this information at our fingertips. So grab that information. I'll use my brain to think for myself, because AI can't do that. And so more information is always good.
Yep. Well, I do like more information. You just got to make sure that's correct. I will tell you, AI does make mistakes, so make sure you're double checking your homework. But I know you know that, but I always feel it necessary to tell everybody else, because as a lawyer, we're not actually allowed to rely on AI unless we double check it, because we can get in trouble for it because it makes too many mistakes. But Melissa, I appreciate you being here. It's been a lot of fun show, and thanks for staying over with me. I enjoyed this show. I think we got some great stuff out there, and I appreciate everybody sticking with us. I know we went a little over. Everybody have a great day. Support Melissa Red Pill, freedomforce.live, Freedom Force everywhere. Just look for Melissa everywhere. Follow her on X. Make sure you're supporting her. And thank you for supporting us at TomRenz.com, TomRenz.com, and GiveSendGo.com/RenzLaw. You guys have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow.
Thank you for watching The Tom Renz Show. Join us live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, putting an axe in the skull of tyranny.
The MAGA revolution in cryptocurrency is here, reclaiming financial freedom for every American. Tired of globalist banks and deep state control? Blockchain is our weapon for sovereignty. Be a step ahead with Animus AI technology. Ranked #1 worldwide, exclusively available through Block Trust IRA. But beware, the wild ride volatility and scams lurk. Yet, with Trump-era policies like the Genius Act, we're tokenizing prosperity for veterans and the heartland. Globalist elites are panicking as leftist-controlled banks scrabble in the dust as MAGA investors access revolutionary technology. Reclaim your freedom with Block Trust IRA.
Join the fight to protect your wealth. Go to TomRunsCrypto.com and talk to Block Trust IRA now.
Listen live to The Tom Renz Show Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern.